Hey guys, Natalie here, Not United TV, talking about the one. See, I'm saying it the wrong way, but it is the one, Man United, but it's Man United women. Here with Deborah, my right hand, Barmy Army 2. My mum. Go on, how are you, Deb?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks, Nat. All things considered, yeah. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I mean, yeah, that's what I want to talk about a bit. How are we all coping with this sort of crisis? It's never seen before. It's once in a lifetime. How are you doing? How are you getting by?
Yeah, I think it's one of those where there's good days and there's bad. In fact, it's not even good days and bad days. There's good moments and bad moments. It's a challenge for pretty much everybody, and just trying to get through it the best way I can. Some days, like I say, some days are better than others, but it's good to keep having people that I can connect with. I find that's helping me.
Yeah, definitely. I think things like, well, we do our podcast, and I tried to switch up. Army starting a new podcast that was really good last night. Mark was leading it. Hi Tori and hi Ellen. You know, it's keeping in touch with all of us. And hi Fiona, you were really good. The thought of Man United women games get me through. Listen, I'm having dreams about them. Is that weird? Is that normal?
I think there's a lot of people who have said on Twitter, I've noticed they're having really weird dreams at the moment. So
Yeah,
maybe that's part of it, Nat. And a big heart attach.
No, my games that we've had, the games that we could have, just how it's all going to work out. That's what I want to talk about. How do you think? I mean, do you think it's going to come back? And how do you think it's going to potentially come back? Hi, JB. Hi, Matt.
For me, my struggle is in trying to work out what gets prioritized. Do they prioritize this season that we're in, or do they prioritize next season? Because I think that will dictate what they do from here. I don't see that we'll be in a position to have football again for a good couple of months. So then we fall into the realms of, are we finishing this season, or are we calling it as it is? Let's focus on next season. If I'm honest, bearing in mind what's already happened in the lower leagues, Belgium today have finished their season. I can't see this season finishing unless they prioritize it over next season. But then what does next season look like? So I think what they're going to do, what they have to do potentially, is cut their losses with this season. And then at least they've got the opportunity to have a normal, so to speak, season that might be delayed a little bit, because you've still then got to give the players a break. You've still then got to give them their off season. Then you've got to give them pre-season, get ready for fixtures. That's if we're ready to go when the season was scheduled to go. So I think that to get back in a rhythm as quickly as possible, they're going to have to just suspend this season as it is and prioritize having a complete season next year.
I agree. I go through phases where I'm like, right, the most important thing is that the fans are the back. And for me, as a fan who goes all the time, and all this community, everyone who's tuning in now, it's so important for us to socialise. I mean, even if we just could do it in a pub, but then I think that would be stopped. So I think if we're all even sitting in our own houses watching it, it just still wouldn't be the same for me. But I've gone through the point where I've not got it, so I want it. So any football I would take, really, even if we had ourselves on Skype and we're all watching it like a watch along, it'd be better than nothing, because at least we're talking about something fresh.
Yeah.
But you know,
I think what's going to be interesting is how they play the women's season as opposed to the men's season. Is there going to be the same rule applied to both? Because I think there's too much money involved in the men's game for them to cancel it. So they are going to have to.
Well, for example, in the men,
with the men's game.
Yeah. For example, in the men's, they're talking about playing it going into the middle, going into St. George's Park, closing it all down and just having everyone's teams and doing some kind of football mega event. And the money ain't there to do that in the women's. Women's will just have to go. And I think Tom Gary sort of said, if it's not ready to finish by August, then they might have to reassess it. If they're not, that's the latest they want to play the women's till. Which I think is right. We've got to play alongside the men. And so if you can get it on, we'll get it on. But as you were talking about the women's loan, for me, I think that was a disgusting decision just to say, right, it's null and void, without consulting, without going to, that just shows, I mean, the fact that they're saying, we're treating it the same as the National League, yes, okay, but for me, Tier 3 as well is a very important division, because I think as the women's football is trying to grow, going up from the National League to the Championship is a massive jump, and it's the first step to professionalism. It's aspirational for all those girls. You're saying girls can play football too. Well, I think joining the Championship, which is level, gets the same airing as potentially going on the FA player, because they show Championship games. Championship teams play in the Conti Cup, so you're changing your whole dynamic. You're really developing players, and for teams like London Crawley Wasps, Sunderland, who've been treated badly, at the expense of us, we just came in and we wanted to think about they blame us, but it's just the FA, and I feel like there needs to be some kind of consultation. It looks like that's happening now, because over 100 clubs have joined, and Barnsley Women, they contacted me, and their chairman, he said, we really appreciate, teams like us, fans like us, Man United, pushing their agenda. I mean, when you heard it was null and void, the National League, what did you think? I mean, we've got one of ours, Charlotte Newsham.
Yeah.
In Huddersfield.
I think what stood out for me the most was when I found out that there was no consultation, or there was just no discussion with the clubs. That was just decision made, here you go. And that kind of sends a message that you don't matter, you're not important, we can do what we want about this game. And that's another one of those ways that the men's game will be treated completely differently because of the money that's involved. The women's game can be discarded. So I think when I first heard it, I wasn't surprised, because I think that's where things are going to go ultimately anyway. I think it was the fact that it was just, right, that's it, see you, bye. That's the bit that didn't really feel comfortable to me.
I mean, they've come out and said it's discrimination, and I think it is, to be fair, because like you just said, they can just discard it. John's saying that it's bang out of order, and I think it is. The fact that you don't even have the decency to let any of the general managers, the chairman know, and all women's football should be treated the same, I think. And I think, yes, eventually we might see it null and void, or the people who are at the top going up. I think just saying no promotion, no relegation is just a disgrace, and I think it's the arrogance for me. You can say, oh, maybe it's not it's not discrimination, but it's the arrogance of the FA. They control these leagues, they control the Super League, and they feel like, well, we're in charge, we'll tell you what to do. And we've had experience, Deb.
Yeah.
As Man United, we'll change that game. We'll just do this. And I think Man United, they can stand up and sort of say a bit, but in a way, we're all women's football teams are puppets to the FA, and we all have to sing to their tune. And I think this has just shown the level of arrogance that they have. And I don't think they were ready for the snap that they got. They weren't ready for people to be supporting these women's football teams the way that, they discuss. Because, it happened to Sunderland last time, but now this time, a lot more interest, a lot more people are, too many men in the suits, disgusting. What are you saying?
For me, I'll never get my head around why they couldn't have been consulted. Or if you're saying to them, look, we've thought it out, this is the only decision we can come to, fine. That probably is the only decision they can come to, but don't let people find this kind of stuff out from a press release. It's not the way that it should have been done. Whether it's
the only way anyway. I think average points. And I think that's the sort of way, I think that's what Belgium did anyway, that they avoided their league, but they said, well, it's as it stands, fair enough, you might not like that, but I think average points is probably the fairest way. People still might not like that, but at least if there's decisions, there's going to be consequences if you just void it straight and act like it didn't happen, because then who goes into Europe, who does this, who's promoted, who's relegated, there's big decisions. So I think
that's what's throwing me. What's the impact of this next year? Are we honestly saying then that players who may have had the season of their life, it's going to get scrubbed? So we give nobody any credit. And I think by doing that and saying, yeah, you know what, we're making the decision, we're not even going to take it to the clubs, it's a little bit disrespectful. It may well have been the only decision, but they could have handled it a whole heap better.
Beyond disrespectful. The fact that they haven't ratified shows that they know it's wrong. I think they're going to wait. I think they're going to, like John sort of said, they're going to do it all together. So I think now whatever happens with the Super League will happen with the National League. And I think just points decision. I know that, well, we're seeing now that there's talk that they're going to open up licenses to everyone anyway. How do you feel about this sort of, obviously, you know, it's a strange one in the Women's League in that licenses do dictate, and I understand why they do it, because you need to know that they can fund it, etc. But for me, it's not right that the top team doesn't go up, let's say.
Well, this is the argument that's been rumbling on for years. This predates United having a team as well. About it's not your achievements; it's who you are and what you can bring to the party. And I understand why that's in place for sustainability, but what's the achievement? What can people aspire to? What can teams aspire to if you're saying to them, that's as far as you can ever go, but somebody else can come in, never having played at all, and they're going to go straight there? And I know we got a lot of stick for it. It was conveniently forgotten that it had happened with other teams before us. Yeah.
West Ham even happened in the same year.
West Ham straight in. But it's a challenge in terms of how do we sustain then the lower league the lower teams, the smaller clubs, I should say, those that don't have the financial backing of a Premier League team, those that don't have the pull that United did, City, West Ham. How do we say to the Sunderlands, well, not so much the Sunderlands, I suppose they've got history, but teams that could be coming up, changing division, getting promoted, but saying, no, that's it, that's as far as you go. Why are we then less? It almost seems counterproductive to let them play on some level, because, okay, this is as far. It's like saying to a team, we're going to start the FA Cup in the men's game. We're going to start the FA Cup. But if you're in Division, if you're in League 2, you can only get to round 5. So it doesn't matter if you win however many games and you should be in the next round. No. At round 5, you drop out. And whoever you're up against, if they're above you, if they're in the higher league above you, they'll just go straight through. It takes away some level of aspiration, I think. And I think rather than criticising that bit, they've got to look at how they can support these teams. But I just think that the support for grassroots and the support for lower leagues is sadly lacking. And nothing is going to change in that anytime soon. Certainly financially, there are other things to be considered right now. But I think that long term, there needs to be a commitment to support teams within the pyramid so that they can at least aspire to it.
Well, you know, there's now talk of some teams in the, like you just said, not having a Premier League team, so they're going to struggle. You know, for example, Birmingham, Bristol, you know, they're teams that potentially Reading, because Jade Moore's just gone. I don't know the full story behind that. People just saying, oh no, it's just because whatever, she went to Leeds, she's early, you know, but Reading haven't got a Premier League team. They are doing fairly well in the Championship, so are Birmingham, but Bristol, I think they're League One, or maybe they are low-level Championship.
But this is
we're seeing a lot of what happened with us getting Hayley Ladd, getting Aoife Mannion leaving, Ellen White. I think it's sort of showing there is a bit of a skew as well towards the top team. I know there's always going to be that, isn't there, Deb? The top team, you always expect them to beat the bottom team. Yeah, it's football, but absolutely. I feel like that gap is a bit bigger, and maybe Birmingham last year would have given us more of a challenge, whereas Birmingham this year they're down at the bottom.
But this happened with Liverpool a couple of seasons ago. Liverpool won the Super League back-to-back, and yet at the moment we took a few of their players when we started off, and you look at them now, they're propping up the table. They're probably the only team hoping that everything gets scrubbed in the women's game. Ironically, the men's team are hoping it doesn't get scrubbed. The women's team probably are.
Yeah.
There's a happy medium somewhere. I'm not quite sure what, but for me, you will always have that flux of you look at the men's team now, United men's team. They've had that transition period that they're still trying to get going on, but a team can be up there and they can get knocked down. And when you lose a lot of your talent, that will make it harder to push you up. So Birmingham were decimated over the summer, but I think that was looking likely for some time. But again, how do they now push on?
Fiona's just saying it's about who's willing to splash the cash, and I agree. I'm not saying it shouldn't be about that, because it's the same in the men's. Whoever sort of spends the most gets the most, but most teams are able to at least hang on to their talents or get new talents, and and I mean, I'm not saying that for example, Bristol have fantastic talent. Look at, they got Ebony, she's smashing it up. Now there's talk that she might go City. God, it would kill me inside, but fair play to her, because I think she's whatever, it didn't go well at United, she's gone Bristol, she's smashing it up, and then if she then like you say, what's the next step? Boom, let's go Man City, or even potentially Everton, something like that. Players will always be attracted by the top four. Players will always be attracted by that, but you still expect a level of competition, and I think it's just, I'm a bit slightly worried. But Sheffield came through and beat Liverpool. Villa beat Liverpool. There was other little upsets around. So
I would say they were such a surprise seeing Liverpool this year.
Yeah, but it is a surprise in that it's a championship team, and before championship teams never would have beaten Super League teams.
True. I think the championship this year is a lot stronger than it was last year.
Yeah, definitely. I think John's sort of saying we need new blood to promote fresh ideas with grassroots, and I think things like, I don't know if we'll ever see it, but there's talk 11 million people have tuned in to watch the Women's World Cup, the most that have ever watched it, right? 77,000 turned up at Wembley. The Riverside was sold out. Probably if they go Old Trafford, I know the Euros have been put back, but that'll be sold out. There's a high demand for the Lionesses, right, at the minute. And
for the national team, yes.
Yeah, and I get that money has to then go back into the national team, and the girls, they have to have the best coaches, and so they have to pay for that. Yeah, but 11 million on the telly, selling out Wembley, and all this stuff. You're telling me there's not a little bit of that money at the top that they can't just go grassroots, and that funds your next level of Lionesses.
Well, that's also the sponsorship of the Super League. I think there's an intention that some part of that will drop down, or whether it means that the Super League doesn't need as much. But for me, I think there's too much impact, too much focus on the national team. And we've talked about this so many times, and we come at this from an attitude of, my club team is my primary team. I am an England fan way after I'm a United fan.
Yeah.
And I think in women's football, it's the other way. I think the national team is the priority. So much so, if the Super League got 100 people every week, I don't think it'd bother the FA as long as the national team was winning. Because yes, you get your 70,000 at Wembley. Yes, you get your however many million on TV. But they're not turning up at the grounds. we've been to grounds this season, last season as well, when we did play Super League teams, even when we were obviously playing Championship teams, it wasn't big crowds.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be self-sustaining, so they're not as much of an enticing prospect for a men's team to offer. And this is what we say. We are, as United fans, because some of us have come to this women's football games later, we come at this with our attitude of the men's game and the club.
Yeah.
And yet we are meeting resistance. You find it on social media. We're finding it just from conversations. It is the national team above all else.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, you and I, we were out in Nice last summer and we were having a nice old time. You were out and you did a few other games, but nothing watching England ever compare to United.
Nice, nothing in France. And I went to, where else was it called? Where was it called? The Havre or whatever. It will never beat Oslo.
No.
That will never, ever, ever come close to it. Ever.
No.
Oslo was the best trip in women's football that I have done so far. And no other France, even though I was in VIP in France and I was in a little the difference.
Some of us
but
still in it.
Yeah. But still, Oslo was the number one.
Yeah.
Shout out my Norway, please. I hope you're listening. But listen, what you just said there, it makes a lot of sense. We went out to Nice and we were there and we saw loads of Deb. She was there with Ange and those people were there that we knew. And we ended up bumping into a massive crowd of females, different. And they were like, yeah, I love football, mate. So I was like, right. And one of them said to one of them, right, so you love England. Oh, I've been going since this. And she's telling me all about these Lioness games. So I'm like, right, cool. So who do you support? And they went, what do you mean? I mean, who do you support?
I haven't got a club.
I support Spurs. So I'm like, oh, Spurs. We were there just the other day. Oh, it was such a good game, wasn't it? It was a great season. Neck and neck. She went, you what? Spurs were 4th. United was 7th. And I went, no. Spurs women. Oh, don't go to that.
No.
And I thought, I just couldn't believe it. I thought, Spurs women have just been promoted to the Super League. And you're just saying to me about how much you love women's football, this, and it's so great, and the inspiration, and you didn't even go once. You didn't even know that they'd been promoted.
Imagine.
I don't blame her. It's Spurs' fault, And I think that's it.
I don't blame Spurs, but imagine you have an affiliation to a men's team in the Premier League, whoever it might be, but the national team and the players better than your own club team. Imagine that's actually the case. I can't get my head around that.
Never.
United fans, I think, not every one of us, but the vast majority of us who've perhaps come into women's football late will always prioritise our club team. Because I'm a United fan through and through. I'm an England fan almost by default.
Yeah. Well, it is. That's what it is. I mean, I don't even like saying I'm an England fan because I am. Because I support Mary, I support Abby, I support, all the babies that are playing in the Baby Lioness.
Will play for the national team, yeah.
Yeah, that will. Hell, even support Alex, OG21. But it's hard. There's always been that thing, isn't there, with United and England. And even Rio, Rio even said, I didn't want to sit next to no Liverpool player because I didn't want them learning about what I'm doing. So when you see it, it sort of makes you feel uncomfortable.
I'm old enough to remember when United dominated the England team in the 90s. And I remember, because I know you're a baby, Nat, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to let you know what it's like. But I remember watching England play on TV and seeing my players, as we'd refer to them, my players, the United players. So you'd have Scholes in there, but the Nevilles, Beckham. Every time they touched the ball, they got booed. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you booing your own players? Why are you booing this guy because he plays for a club team that you don't like? But this is an England game. This is an international game. And that was probably the first time when I thought, I don't get this. I don't get international football with hating on the players in your team. And actually, if you don't want these United players, I'll have them back at United. Thank you very much. Keeping them fit, keeping them healthy. You can get whoever the hell you want, as long as it's on the teams that you like. But I'll keep my boys nice and fit. Thank you very much. You get your players. And I think that's the attitude I've had ever since of my club comes first. And if I have the option, and there's a lot of players that might really dislike what I'm saying here, I would love some of our players to play for England or their national team once. Okay. They will always have been an international. After that, no thank you. You stay. Whenever there's an international break, you keep fit, you rest, you get the treatment that you might need. Thank you very much. For me, club first.
Yeah. What I will say is, remember, just before this She Believes or She Whatever,
yeah, you're right.
Abby was injured, wasn't she?
Yep.
And I was saying, no way you can go to thing if you're not playing for United. Yep. There's just not a chance. And then some journalists were like, oh, but she'll be fit by then. Listen, you're getting it twisted. Do you think I give a damn how fit she is by then? You cannot go and put an England shirt on over this badge. No chance. If that's what you want to do, that's how you feel it in your heart, okay.
Bye.
Then don't let me know. Because if you're putting that England shirt on over this badge, you can just, like you just said. And I sat down and saw another defender. I'm not even going to, she knows who she is. And she sort of said, oh, but I think Abby wants to play for United first. And I just sort of looked at her like, well,
you better.
Should think so. But then I sort of said, but because I know what the mentality is. Like you just said, I know the mentality in the women's football. These clubs can fold like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I see why the girls are thinking, England, they've got the central contracts, they've got this. That's where all the security it really is. So I see why they're thinking of it. But it's like Fiona just said, if they want to really grow the game, targeting people loyal to clubs, they'll do anything for the club. That's how you grow it. Grow the game by putting money into the Super League, into even the National League, because that's where a lot of these players will start off in these, like, you know, Burnley, Barnsley, and then you'll find out that they're very, very good, and they'll get shooted up. But people develop late as well. Jamie Vardy, developed late, but he's an international.
Yeah.
So that there could be cases of that in the National League, but we'll never know because they're getting stopped. There's Ipswich are a very good team, and we'll go on to talk about the Devs in a bit. You've watched the Devs, but their Devs are about fourth in the league, and a lot of their Devs play in the first team as well. So that's all good for them, and that's England internationals. So I think to just sort of cast aside the National League and cast aside club and all this, and put the National League first, you'll never get anywhere because you need the clubs to buy into it and develop these players for you properly.
There's no international team if your club teams aren't doing anything. Where are your players coming from?
Exactly, and I just think they need to start taking it a bit more seriously, club football.
Yeah.
Because Matt just said
today is the internationals are all well and good, but the week in, week out stuff, that's club.
That's what's going to develop. Yeah. I think they're sort of funneling it where teams like Man United and City and teams with the money will have all the best talent. Well, I don't think that's good because then they'll clog up the system for each other. You want these people playing against each other.
But that's a natural process in sport, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're always going to get the best players at the best teams, but you don't want all the players just at that team. You want it to be competitive, and it's getting to a way where it's growing that gap, I think. And I mean, Matt said, what happened to all this money? Everyone's put all this, Bristol did it, Reading done it 2 or 3 times. Everyone's playing at the big stadiums though, and actually getting good records. So how are you then struggling? I don't understand.
But
why.
if you consider, I'm guessing,
stadiums.
But Nat, you say 30,000, okay? 30,000 at the Etihad, roughly speaking.
Yeah.
Paying an average, I can't exactly remember ticket prices. A lot of kids, a lot of adults. Let's say somewhere in the region of 100 to 120,000 maybe in ticket sales. Actually, no, 100,000 probably nearer. Okay? Now take out your operating costs. They're not cheap. Your printing costs for the programs, I can't remember if they were free or not. You start taking out your staff costs, your operating costs. You've only, let's say, brought in 100 grand, but that gets swallowed up very quickly. If you're left, you're not going to be left with half of that. So yes, you've got big crowds, and that's if you are selling the tickets. Other places have given them away. And then I get why they do that, so that the people turn up next week, but they don't. They're not even buying a hot dog. So where is the money being made? It's not in the big grounds.
Yeah. But that's why I don't understand why they would do it. But what about people buying the hot dog at the Etihad? They're not getting enough money from that, maybe? Same price as the men, I bet.
Probably, but who knows who keeps that? That might get funneled back into the club rather than the women's team. Casey said a while ago, I remember, and I was horrified. One of the reasons she doesn't want a game at Old Trafford is it comes out of her budget. Well, I don't want what would potentially be the cost of a player going on a jolly at Old Trafford. Because I don't want a game at Old Trafford.
Go there anyway.
That's a whole conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think it would be good for the players. I think it'd be good for, but there's no benefit. There's no long-term benefit of playing all these games. And I think we've seen it, and we've seen it now. Oh, it's so great. Oh, it's fantastic. And that's the thing with that I think the FA are doing. They're trying to force it. They're trying to run before they can walk. I want these average attendance to be at this. So they're sticking it in the big stadiums to skew it.
Yeah.
No. Why don't you look actually at the ground? Right. For example, Deb, I'm going to go on to what we're doing as Barmy Army. Everyone who's a member, listen up. If you want to join, message Barmy Army because it's an important thing to have. You get a little card that says I'm a Barmy Army member, but you'll get emails, you get updates, you'll get packs, you'll get everything. But we have a code of conduct, we have a constitution. So we expect people to act in a certain way. But we'll get onto that separate. We are now part of the FSA. So there's it's not a big, it's about 6 or 7 clubs, isn't there, Deb?
I think we'll
City,
Chelsea, expanding.
Bristol, Liverpool are in it now. People might be Reading. I know they've got a supporters club. I know Brighton have one. Blues, Birmingham are doing so. It's about half the Super League are in this group that we're in, isn't it, Deb?
Yeah.
And they need to talk to these people. We need to be working together more. And this is the FA now. So the big chief or whoever, let's go to Super League. So instead of saying Man United play at Old Trafford, that's going to boost the attendance. No, you need to come down to the level. Right, Natalie and Deb, Barmy Army, what are you doing? How do you grow? How do you do this? Things like, for us, a big issue is Lee. And I'm sure other teams have it. Brighton playing Crawley, Reading playing
Wickham.
God knows, Adam Clark, Wickham. Liverpool playing wherever. Everton have just recently moved back. They've just seen bang. That was their biggest attendance. I think that had a bit of an impact, but they've moved back. They've moved 10 minutes the road, so they've seen more crowd, and I think they will see more crowd now. But I think there needs to be something where you're talking to the people who go in week out that are seeing it. That I could tell them. We both could. We all could in this group. This is the things that will improve it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying make, but put some kind of stipulation on. You can only play in a certain radius, and you must aim to play in your home. Stuff. I get it. It's hard, But stuff like that, if you can't play there, then you have to fund travel for your fans. I'm not saying, I know that makes it even harder, but these things
I think public
that money that they put into playing at Old Trafford, they could put that into a coach, and I'd rather have that.
I think the public transport is one of our biggest issues with Lee. And I fully believe that if there was a City have a direct tram line to Lee, I think the crowds would be bigger.
Yeah.
And actually, that's in the interests of the FA, because one of the reasons probably that they want these games at the big stadia is so that they can then go to sponsors and say, oh, look, we've got 30,000 here. If you were one of our sponsors, we could promote your company or your item to all of these people and get it to a bit. So they want to be able to sell 30,000 rather than 2. But it just, again, it's that sense I've got of the FA wanting everybody else to do it and then reap the rewards of it. There needs to be, Lee's not a great venue to get to if you don't drive. It's fine for me, absolutely perfect. But there's a lot of people it doesn't work for, and I get that. And that will always hamper it. It's a great facility. I understand why United use it. We don't have an alternative. But if we could look at getting some form of transport sorted, I'm convinced it would raise the crowd.
Yeah.
And that in turn would help the FA. But it's this short-sightedness of, no, you fix it, but we want the rewards.
Yeah.
Gets me a bit angry, actually.
100%. No, it's 100%. I mean, yeah, it's not on the FA to run Man United women. I get it. But if they're on about growing the game and doing this, like I said, it's not just Man United women that have this issue. Other teams have this issue, you know.
But if you also want to grow the game, don't mess around with fixtures.
Yeah.
We know there were people who were coming over for the City game and they'd planned to come over for the Sunday when it was originally scheduled. Then, a couple of weeks before, it gets moved to the Saturday. Now, I know that game's not gone ahead for different reasons, but how can you have people coming back when they can't stick, that they don't know whether a game's happening or not? And also that Chelsea game that got postponed when we had the flooding, that was put back to 4:30. 4:30 on a Sunday. That's not a great time for if we're trying to grow the game to kids. You know, it's the school night, especially if they're coming up from London. You're immediately taking out a number of people who won't be able to go to that game. If you want it to be a showpiece, you've got to think of your audience. We talked about the Brighton game when United played Brighton on a Wednesday night at 7:30. With the best will in the world, there were a few of us that couldn't get to that game because of work. Had you had it the week after, it'd have been half term. There's a lot more people that could have turned up. So they need to think about the fixtures. They need to think about their audience. And they actually need to just play fair a little bit more. Don't mess around and say, oh yeah, fine, we'll change that fixture with a moment's notice. People have plans. People make arrangements around a fixture. And actually, if you change that too often, people will say, I'm not bothering anymore.
Notice how that's never happened with the Lionesses, though.
Why would it?
Say that months in advance, and that's the day it stays. Boom. There's no beating around the bush. It's that day. We say it's that day. It's that day.
Yeah.
All this women's football weekend. How many, all these international breaks that we've had. FA Cup. Right, we're gonna move it. We'll move it as soon as it's announced. Say it straight away. Don't let people ring up the ticket office. Yep, it's that day, because that's what they believe. Nothing against Lee. Then just a week before you change it. For example, that FA Cup one, I know a couple of people who were like, oh, I was just about to buy my ticket. This is the thing as well. I was just about to buy my ticket to go. But then I saw it's moved and it's on telly, so I'll just stay at home. And I think it's all about the telly. It's all about the money. Like that 4:30 that you just said. It's all about being on telly. And I'm all for getting the telly money.
Yeah.
I think it's graceful how they're able to just take the product, change it as a whim, and you're not even paying for it. I think no. If you're not paying for it, don't tell me what time it's at. I'll tell you.
Now, you and I know full well we have been told I have to be careful how I say this. We are aware of the fact that last season United were due to play Arsenal in the Conti Cup semi, and it was United Arsenal one semi, City Chelsea in the other, if I'm not mistaken. And there was the suggestion they were going to be played, I think, on a Tuesday, Wednesday. Not initially sure. Anyway, it so came to pass that the Chelsea City game got called for the Wednesday. So you guys who knew you could get to that game were looking at a Tuesday. And the closer you got to it, the train ticket prices are going up. And everything else that you might have had to arrange was going up. Torrens completely right. And eventually they announced it for a Thursday. But by the time you could get your train tickets, and I know Mark, my husband, was doing the same as well, the price jump. Now, okay, we will go no matter what it costs and where it is. But how many other people in that situation would have said, "Oh, can't go now, too late"? Because it was actually the home club, not the club. It was the ground that of the club that owns the ground, if that makes sense. So we're not talking about a Super League club here, who were actually dictating terms. So the club that Arsenal couldn't get involved, and the FA couldn't do anything. What kind of craziness is that we were all being held to ransom by a lower league club saying, "Yeah, we'll have it when we want it"? That's how unimportant the game is. That's a cup semi.
And this is the thing that I'm sort of getting at now. I think a lot of these clubs, they take advantage. Like you just said there, I think take advantage a bit. Oh, we'll just change it, but you're going to be there anyway. Oh, you'll be there. Oh, I'll see you there. And I just think, whoa.
Some of our players think the same as well. Come on now.
Hey?
Some of our players know that we'll turn up wherever it is. And
of course we will. They know the devs know I'll turn up. Everyone knows I'll turn up. If I know where it is, I'll turn up. But it's like you're just saying, like, there's people that'll turn up. There's 50 people. It wasn't just like one or two. There's 50, maybe even a lot more that had tickets booked from Ireland. Yeah. Right? It's taking the mate for the Sunday, and they had something booked on the Saturday. So that game, they missed it.
Yeah.
And it's just people turn up United. We've got people from Norway in the chat. We've got, I know people in Indonesia. People will turn up from everywhere. People have come from Mexico to watch Man United women, right? But we had a guy, Sweden, and this is talking about our rivals now. There's 2 Swedish Reds. We were going down to Liverpool. It was horrendous rain. And I thought, no way this game's on. No way. But the Swedish Reds still got on their train and held in the same train as us, paid that money.
Yeah.
Who's going to give them that money back? And I know it's just nothing. It's £6 down to Liverpool, but who's going to give that money back? No one. And and you can say £6, but they're lucky they were on the train with us that we found out, and then they would have probably been standing outside the stadium by the time that Liverpool or Man United tweeted about it. And it's not funny, but they knew on that Saturday that game wasn't going ahead. Just the state that Prenton Park had been in, the rain the night before. And I get it, you want to get it on, but everyone knew that wasn't happening. So you could have just told us on the Saturday.
Fiona,
it's not going ahead now.
Fiona says the FA probably thinks you got about 1,000 turning up at a game, so it doesn't matter.
Maybe in the past, Fiona, 1,000 was, but now people come from far and wide. And even, to be fair, for Arsenal, they come from Holland, and they got cancelled.
Hang on now.
So,
Chelsea get to Everton. Weren't Chelsea actually there at Everton, and then it got called off?
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And that's where I'm saying they need to start taking it a bit more seriously, and I don't think they do. And maybe they need to start listening, and hopefully with what we're doing with the FSA, growing the Barmy Army guys, join, be members. That's what I want to say.
I think it's worth
saying. But let's see.
Now, one of the things that I really want to just take the opportunity to say here is that I know there are certain members of the Barmy Army who are more visible than others. And it's not a case of they are the only people that make decisions or put their views forward. We have, in the last week or so, canvassed a lot of our members. We've found a way to do that, and we've asked them some of their views about approaching the FA. And we've drawn up a list of points and questions that have since gone to the FA and will be addressed to them by the FSA. And so one of the things that becoming a member will do is give you the opportunity to have that voice. So we're not just a case of, right, you and I are at the front and there's a few others behind and we make every decision. And there are times when we'll have to make decisions, but in terms of the fans and giving the fans a voice, we do want people to be involved in this.
For example, Deb, I mean, everyone can get involved in this, but we had the AGM booked and that would have been a time for everyone. And I'm hoping if it does go back on, we can have it again. We might even be at the start of the next season.
There will be another AGM planned. When, obviously, we don't know, but we want to have that. We need to have that. And as many people as can, please do turn up to it. Just get a ticket. It'll be free.
Even if you're not a member, even if you're not signed up, or even if you want to learn about it, right, what if I'm signing up, what am I getting? Right, come down, listen to us, speak to us. Yeah, we might even have we definitely have to have the first one face to face. We could talk about this, but second one could be like on a forum like this, Skype, Zoom, everything's nowadays.
Everything's online this at the moment.
Yeah. But yeah, I am. No, it's good. I like that discussion because people think fans don't have a voice. When I first started doing what I was doing, and everyone knows the story. Rachel Brown, you need to do this. You need to see. They want to hear your voice. They want to hear your opinions. So I'm like, okay. And then we went to Charlton and ended up saying, well, we need to do more on social media. Said it to some staff, and then they started doing more. And we have had to sit down, me and you, Deb, and talk to them. A lot of people will say that at the start. A very high up person. You're just cheerleader. Stay in your lane. Don't say this. This is how you do it. This is how you support. This is how you do that. And
we will always be met with resistance. We don't do things the way people think we should do it. But I think the message behind the noise sometimes is that we are doing this for the growth and not just because we all fancy a jolly and want to go and get sloshed in Oslo kind of thing. There is a genuine purpose to this, and there is a lot of thought and consideration. Yes, some days it doesn't look like that at all, but we are genuinely interested in promoting and growing us as a fan group, but more importantly, the game and getting women's football out there, because we know what our attitudes were to it not that long ago. So we also know that they can change. We are our own example.
Yep. 100%. And I want to just go back onto something. Obviously, the season, it's looking like we might be playing summer football, August-ish, maybe have a break. But then that's going to end up with loads of summer football. So it's going to then be Olympics next year.
Yeah.
And then a Euro straight away after. So what do you think? This is a question from JB, by the way. What do you think the impact will be? We're just having it all consecutive like that. Because actually, she said Olympics, Euros, World Cup. So potentially we could have summer football finishing the season. Then they go into the Olympics. Then they go into the Euros. And they go into the World Cup. No breaks. This year was supposed to be a break.
I think you need a break. And I think you need a break for the players. Not for us as the fans, because right now we are so starved. The thought of actually getting football back on and there being an international break feels quite uncomfortable. We just want it constantly. But you need to have those breaks because if nothing else, it gives the players who aren't playing international games, it gives them a chance to recover. To ask players to go all the way through for a couple of seasons, are we saying? I think it's not achievable. We're asking for injuries. We're asking for big career-changing injuries, and I'd hate to see that. So as much as I don't want there to be gaps, and we are the people, I know you and I, Nat, Mark, there's a few others, we hate international breaks. We just want club. But it also just gives us a chance to reset, and it gives some of the players a chance to reset without losing them out to your club teams. So for me, we are going to have the season dictated because of the Olympics and then the Euros. So that will force that's why I was saying at the beginning, are they prioritizing finishing this season or going into next season? Because you've got Olympics and the Euros that are effectively going to bookend next season, or I might have got my maths wrong there. So there has to be a break, and there has to be an opportunity for everybody to catch their breath. I think the Euros, the women's Euros, let's be honest, we're looking at 2022. I think to try and win, I don't. Okay, I think that's more than likely, if it's not already been decided, that that's going to happen, and I think it should happen, because you've got players who might be playing in the Olympics and the Euros. Where's their break? Because then their break will come when the club season starts, and I don't want that for my team.
Yep, no way. Just going back, big WSL teams have fans travelling to games from abroad. And will they keep coming? Keep cancelled?
This is
that scares me.
But now Ellen's making this point, and she's an example of it, because she and Tom want to be over here, and they want to be seeing as many games as they can. So it will be unfair to them to have to prioritize and choose when they could make so many more games if there was better planning, and actually more thoughtful planning, because we want those guys over as often as they can make it.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. There's some girls from, and this is what, this is why I end up doing little things, because I feel like it's not right. There was some girls over from, where were they from? Holland, and they ended up meeting Jackie, but it was that Chelsea game. And I was like, it's not right. Like, here, take my top. I'll get a top sign from Jackie. Take this Holland flag, because it's not right. They shouldn't be coming over here making plans. And I get it with the weather and all that, fine. But I think with Liverpool and the pitches and all that, that all needs to get looked at. Emergency. And I think definitely with TV, you can't just change it with a week notice. It's not good enough.
No.
Anger, but passion, because I want to see this grow. Talking about growth.
Yes. Isolate.
Can't say your name. So, but you know who you are. Her name's Namatai Yadava.
Okay.
Right? That's the best I'm gonna do. Look, fans from all over the globe. I think she's Indian. She's from India. And she said, the players from the Dev squad who could make the first team in the next 2 years, who do you think, Deb? I want to say them all.
You've seen the Devs more than I have. I can honestly and thankfully say that my last match of this season is likely to be the Devs. We enjoyed a 3-0 win over City a couple of weeks ago. Probably more than a couple of weeks ago now. Obviously, people will look at somebody like Maria Edwards because she made the squad out in Oslo. Charlotte Newsham as well, who's out in Oslo, has been playing at Huddersfield. Rebecca Mays made the first team squad and played as well this year. I think we've got a lot of talent. The focus, of course, will be on those who've broken through. You very strongly rate Tara Bourne, and I think you've seen more of her than I have.
Well, I just saw her in that game that we saw, the Durham game, but the last few games I've seen her, it's just beautiful. But the one that I really, really rate as well, Poppy.
You want Poppy? You want Poppy at the back, don't you?
Oh, beautiful. She's my centre-back.
She's got that United spirit about her, I think, from what you've said.
The very first game I went to, one of the first games I went to, I think it was the first game, it's Birmingham. And they came back from 2-0 down, 3-2 up. Meg Hornby scored absolute worldie. And then Maria scored the winner, worldies. But Poppy came off and she was at the side and we were like, "You all right? Who's that girl that just scored?" And she went, "Oh, I don't know." And I said, "Is it the one from Wolves?" "Oh, no, she's from Wigan." I'm like, "All right, where are you from?" She looked at me like in disgust. She went, "Me? I'm United, me. Through and through. I've been here since 5. And I thought, that's my centre back. That's my centre back. Now she's captain. and you can tell what it means.
I think Megan Hornby against City as well, so she impressed me last time.
Who impressed you?
Megan Hornby.
Yeah, she was good.
Maria Figueroa, I know we've seen some sparks of greatness from her. So there is a lot of hope with that Deb team. I'd like to see them get their opportunities, but when the time is right.
Yeah, definitely. I think look forward to the Devs. Anytime, any name that you don't know, always be asking out questions because we can give you some updates. Eldon, what's the age cap on the Devs? It's under 21s, Eldon. Under 21s. But a lot of our players are 17. Maria Edwards is 17. I think Charlotte Newsham is 19 now. So there's that kind of level where some are 17, some are 18. I think Megan Hornby is the oldest at maybe even 19. So I think Charlotte might be 18, but I don't know. But I think Megan's the oldest at 19, 20-ish. And she's doing well. So, you know, Chloe Williams is another one who made the bench versus City.
Yeah.
And she's looks like a real proper player, like plays for Wales and stuff. So the future's bright, Deb. Yeah. The future's bright.
The future's bright. We just need to get through this and get back on the pitch.
I know. Talking of future, and people might say, listen, can't talk of this during these times. But we can always talk of this because there's nothing to do. So when there's nothing to do, people get bored.
Now, if we can see why we're all doing this, it probably makes it a bit easier.
Yeah, people speculate. People speculate to accumulate. People gossip. People, you know, problematic, passionate, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. But there is a little bit of something. Yeah, because I love you lot. I'll give you a little bit of something. You know what I'm saying? The sugar in the tea, the one that we've all been waiting for, right? Everyone's always comes on here and talks about striker. Everyone talks about harder. Hard's not happening, right? Forget about that. Put that in the filing cabinet till next year, yeah? But the one striker that I'm hearing of, right? And I don't know nothing, but I'm just hearing a little bit of the tea. This is a little bit of the sugar, yeah? Her name's Lena. Let me just look at this up again. Lena, she's Swedish. Lena Hurting. I don't know if that's right. That's how you say her name. Some people were tweeting about it today. We just read a few articles. In 2015, she said she's just waiting for Man United to start. And I think she's a good striker out there. You know.
Who should play for that? Who's a club team?
Swedish team called, I think this is where she's at, Humanes. God knows. But she's out of contract this year. Hurtig.
I think we should just have one night, Nat. One night, we just do a podcast of trying to say foreign names because I think I tune into that. We need some Scandinavians to help us out here with Swedish players.
Well, we'll invite Lotta into the podcast. We'll invite Lotta to talk about this girl. Yeah, she knows her. Yeah, I'll be like, Lotta, Hurtig. There you go.
Maybe
whatever you say this name, that's the girl. Yeah, I don't know, mate, what the name is, but that's all that matters. This is the one.
You may have to learn her name. You may have to get that flag printed.
Listen, I don't give a shit, mate. Sorry.
And a big hello to my niece who might be watching. Don't repeat that.
Listen, it's not just a rumor. Like I said, it's a little bit of substance to the rumor. Let's say.
I think Fiona said there could be some rumors going around. So yeah, we might need you to start repeating those now. Linkoping. Isn't that something on in the Night Garden? A Pontyping or something, yeah.
Anyway, a little bit of something. A little bit of sugar in your tea. Yeah. Everyone's always
the transfer market's going to be a strange one because obviously nobody knows what's going on right now with contracts as well.
Especially if, say, like it ends in August.
Yeah.
That's usually when the transfer window ends. So when's the transfer? If we're still playing football in June or July or whatever, what are they going to do? When's the transfer window? But then I've read they might put the transfer window. Say if the season ends in September, then you have a break. So the last game of the football, that's when it opens, and it could still be open in January, straight through. You know what I mean?
But you almost need there to be a universal window. And you need the teams to almost have the same universal pattern, because you can't have one team starting their season whilst other countries are finishing theirs, because they're not going to let any of their players go, but the team starting their season might want to buy those players. So we almost need this to sync up. Otherwise, you can lose players and gain players at different times. By the way, 8 o'clock. A round of applause for all the key workers in the country.
Yeah, outside.
Got fireworks going off over here.
Yeah, I can hear the fireworks too. But yeah, I think we're gonna call it a day. But
No worries,
I've not said also before some kind of coach or whoever from Man United said, I've not said I know anything. I'm just saying that could be the little sugar in the tea. Just
all
we'll have to wait.
All people have to do, Nat, is go on Twitter.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of time to go on Twitter these days. All people have got to do is go and find where those rumours are, go and do a bit of research. Because if you did have the inside word, you wouldn't be sharing it.
Exactly.
You'd know better, because that's the last time you get that. But you can
when I did have the inside word, ain't nobody knew shit, so it's better just to tell me, and then no one knows. Yeah. Again, kids, don't repeat that, right?
Yeah.
Deb, well done, my key worker.
Cheers.
See you later, guys.
Take care. Look after yourself.
After yourself, guys. Stay at home. Love you. Bye.